Parappa the Rapper. God, I love the series. The style, the music, just the general feel of it. All these just clicked with me from the day I first laid my eyes upon the series. I can't exactly remember when I had come across it, although as I grew up, I grew to love Parappa as one of PlayStation's greatest mascots. And a character I love dearly. With my interest in Parappa in place, I got curious, and I dove into the history of Parappa around 2015 or 16. And I came across the anime. Yes, Parappa the Rapper, one of Sony's many famous faces for the PlayStation brand, had an anime. And it's absolutely fascinating. Apart from being just the tie-in to, say, the first Parappa the game or the second, it was its own unique thing, with its own characters, storylines and more. It was a unique project that, sadly, never achieved the popularity it could have had. And thanks to its limited presence throughout the rest of the world, was soon to be lost completely. Until a channel called DefendPTR archived the anime in its entirety. Join me and Patchblob on this episode of CRT Dreams, where we tell the tale of the YouTube channel that saved the obscure Parappa the Rapper anime from being lost, and preserving it for years to come. Let's go! This anime is certainly something interesting, even without talking about how it was eventually fully archived after being lost. Created by the same folks that had a major hand in the games, Matsuya Matsuura and Rodney Greenblatt, and co-produced by JC Staff and Production IG, it was a 30-episode series involving the lives of Parappa and his friends and the strange and wonderful events that happen in them. Created during the same time as Parappa the Rapper 2's development, it was meant as a kid-friendly show, not trying to aim for the same audience as the games themselves. It was never officially localized via dubbing or subbing, and it remained completely within the confines of where it originated, Japan, despite clear online interest that showed that it was wanted. With this in mind, how did this anime become lost? To begin, with the limited release of the anime only being in Japan, it caused it to have less of a reach. People online were aware of the existence of it, but since there was seemingly no plans for a Western release, it left people who were interested in limbo. As far back as 2002, and looking at the entirety of the 2000s, from what links can still be found, it was definitely something that people were aware of, were interested in. For example, the earliest link that I could find was from 2002, of someone having collected links that detailed that the anime was being promoted and was a thing. The other users were not happy about this because it was off topic, but it proves the point in that the anime was something that people were aware of. They wanted it, they were interested. Looking at the data for the Parappa the Rapper anime on Google Trends, which is able to determine search interest from 2004 to the present day, there was a significantly high interest in the anime around this time. The data here is for the entire world, so while there may be some interest from Asia due to, the anime originating from there, looking at the region statistics, it shows that the United States had some interest in it as well. Looking at the search over time, it shows that relevancy of it and interest was beginning to dwindle. It was slowly losing its presence over time, its interest, and this begins to make sense once you realise just how much of a presence it really was just beginning to lose. Doing a search for any references to the anime past this point, past 2004, I found a few links, but these were either passing mentions or they were just telling people about other Parappa media, such as this link here from 2008. Past this point, this is where things begin to become intriguing, to say the least. This link here from 2011 asks about where the rest of the anime is, and if there are any episodes beyond 1, 2, 3, and 4 that have been subbed, implying that there was an effort to sub the obscure anime for the rest of the world at one point in time. What is also interesting to note is that according to a commenter here, there were in fact uploads of the anime to YouTube at this point in time. And what else is also interesting is that the anime seems to be hard to come by in terms of torrents. Another thread from 2013 also somewhat implies that this anime was hard to come by. Note the language used here, claimed to, someone who has seen the whole series, etc. It's interesting because when you take all of this into account, it seems that the anime was not archived anywhere. or if it was uploaded to places, then it was hard to come by the full series of 30 episodes. This anime was becoming harder to come by, and it seemed that it would only get harder to find from here, as this was an anime that was already obscure, was barely known by the rest of the world, and had releases on home media that were becoming rare in of itself. This anime was doomed to remain in obscurity. Around April 2016, I discovered the Parappa the Rapper anime for the first time. Being a big fan of the games, I was immediately intrigued when the opening theme of the anime came into my YouTube recommendations one day. Side note, but holy hell, this opening theme is a goddamn jam. It's literally so good. Anyway, I was a fan of this opening theme, and thus I decided to watch the anime because that's how it'd be. There were only 3 episodes I could find around that time that were translated, and sadly the rest were all in Japanese, meaning I couldn't understand them because I don't know Japanese. Episodes at the time were really hard to find, with, from my recollection, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 parts of episode 12, a few minutes of 24, 29, and a few other miscellaneous clips being available on YouTube. Everything was just so limited back then, and from my recommendation, a channel called Parappa with Fries was responsible for me, and many others, to be able to see the anime in a limited form back then. With no other episodes able to be seen, my interest waned for a month, until a channel called DefendPTR came into existence. It felt like a crazy strange coincidence. 1 month after I find the Parappa anime and a channel dedicated to it appears and archives all the episodes? Who was DefendPTR? DefendPTR is a channel dedicated to archiving the Parappa anime that came into existence around May of 2016. The sudden creation of the channel was a pleasant surprise to followers of the anime, myself included. And with the anime archived in its entirety, it now serves as an online archive of an anime that would have otherwise been lost in pieces across the internet. It was amazing, and it was a great way to finally see all of the episodes in the series, even if only a few had been translated via subtitles, since the rest were in Japanese. How did DefendPTR come to be, though? It's strangely coincidental to have discovered the anime back then, realised that it's pretty much partially lost, and then for a channel to crop up, archiving all of it. But regardless of the timing, DefendPTR presented to me new questions. How did this channel come to be, and where did the episodes themselves come from to be archived so easily? The first indicator that answers these questions comes from the About section on the channel itself. Quote, "This channel was created solely to re-upload all 30 episodes of the Parappa the Rapper anime that were recently taken down for some reason. It was my duty to re-upload this digital treasure for everyone to see. I won't let this anime die until my very own death. If any of the original uploaders read this, please contact me immediately." According to this, the channel contains re-uploads / copies of episodes that were previously uploaded onto YouTube, which aligns with how I originally saw the anime a month prior to the channel's creation. Episodes on YouTube had existed prior to DefendPTR, but this was the latest one to be created, and judging from the fact that the channel mentions that episodes are recently taken down, it means that there had still been other channels up at the time that stopped uploading. With a bit of digging by looking into the FAQ in the description of the first episode uploaded to DefendPTR, I was able to identify which channel had been terminated / stopped uploading. Parappa with Fries, the exact channel that I had first seen the anime on. The answer to how the channel came to be comes from delving into the link to the FAQ, a pastebin link. According to DefendPTR, channels before 2013 had existed. Channels such as Demi Truesdale, for example, uploaded some of the first few episodes, which were the ones that had been fan-subbed in the past. There had been an effort to translate episodes of the anime in the past by a group called Fighting Magic, who had reportedly translated the first 4 episodes around 2004. This possibly explains the spike in interest that Google Trends had reported on earlier. Other channels included Bumble Channel, who uploaded episodes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 13, with this one being the only one translated, and Typhoon Bling, who reportedly hosted all of the remaining episodes, with the possible exception of 24, although this is hard to verify as the channel no longer exists due to unknown reasons. Seeing that the episodes were being uploaded in an erratic order, DefendPTR, or the person behind it, would begin their first attempt at locating the episodes which were seemingly lost in July of 2013. At the time, these episodes were lost. DefendPTR doesn't mention how they were lost per se, but judging from the fact that torrents of the anime were not working 2 years ago, it can be presumed that 13, 12, and 14 to 30 were simply not being uploaded, or that rips of them were incredibly hard to come by. At the time, the person who would one day be in charge of DefendPTR was collaborating with a YouTube channel known as Blue Rush Sonic, now known as Assassin Hedgehog, who was able to track down one of the missing episodes, specifically episode 3. However, trouble arose when they received copyright warnings from Fuji TV, who had originally broadcasted the anime back in its original release. It can be presumed that copyright warnings is referring to a copyright strike, judging by how YouTube works with clips that belong to such companies and networks. This discouraged DefendPTR and Assassin Hedgehog from uploading the episodes in full HD quality. Soon after this copyright warning, on September 27, 2013, a different channel called Winkle Stiffenmeyer, or Woozy Winkle, would upload episode 27, which had been an upload from the previously mentioned Typhoon Bling. Skipping 1 year forward, in February of 2014, two people named Pengo and Tricky, who are responsible for the channel known as Parappa with Fries, uploaded every single episode within a single day. For 2 years, this would be the definitive archive for all the episodes, but due to unknown reasons, although probably multiple copyright strikes from Fuji TV, the channel was terminated. With that channel gone, the person who would soon become the creator of DefendPTR took matters into their own hands. Having seen channels upload episodes and fall because of it, they took the initiative to search for every episode themselves and create a channel that will continuously protect the anime from online extinction. That goal was met thanks to extensive searching across the internet. To quote DefendPTR, "When I first started working on the anime, there were only 11 episodes available, episode 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 13. After realizing that this anime is a digital treasure and that it needed to be protected and recovered at all costs, I went through so many all-nighters trying to find the lost episodes, and I even put myself in danger considering that I ended up on isolated websites that claimed to own the episodes, but would ask you to pay for them in order to view them, obvious scammers. Therefore, upon realizing that the channel that originally hosted the episodes was gone, I immediately feared that people who had fought for the anime's recovery might not have had the chance to even keep a safe copy of the episodes for themselves, and I panicked that they would never see the anime again. Thankfully, I was lucky to have kept a safe copy of the episodes myself, so I took the initiative to re-upload them so that people can still watch their favourite rapping dog, Parappa." End quote. One question remains. Where did the episodes themselves come from? Judging by comments from DefendPTR and the paste bin here, these were from VHS tapes which had been released as part of the anime's means of release. While DVD versions do exist, they suffer from flaws relating to the quality of the image and not fit in the format it's in. Hence, the VHS rips were used. With the history itself of how DefendPTR came to be, how did this anime become lost in the first place? What possible factors could have led to it being lost? The clues to figuring out this question lie within the somewhat troubled production of the anime itself. According to Rodney Greenblatt, the man who designed Parappa and who also had a hand in the creation of only the designs for the anime, he had very little control in designing and fleshing out the world of the Parappa anime, which was something he was keenly interested in doing. Quote, "I really loved my voice because there were so many other people. The show's producers decided that they wouldn't let anyone from the game team side work on the TV side. They didn't want to pull anyone from the game development for the TV show development, and then they wanted to slate the show for little kids, 5-year-olds or something, mostly to sell toys." He elaborates on other issues in development, such as mismanagement with what time the anime would air, clashing with other properties. and the time slot it was on turned out to be a disaster. A big deal was made. It had a prime slot for little kids, but it kept on being preempted by baseball games. There was 2 different animation houses doing the show, and each had a slightly different style, and that was really bugging me. My characters looked a little different in one episode to the next. By far, one of the largest issues was copyright. Quote, "The show's producers also took all this copyright space. In order to put it on TV and pay for all the animation, which was expensive, they wanted to be part owners of the copyrights, which we, Sony Creative, had been clinging to. Sony Creative owned the copyright and Sony Computer had ownership of the game. They didn't care because it was raking in all this money for Sony even if it was just 2 different divisions. But when the animation people came in, and then Fuji TV, it just got to be this whole big mess. Just too many people." End quote. This explains the mention of Fuji TV's copyright warnings in DefendPTR's Paceblin explanation, while also explaining why, in one instance, Sony attempted to block access to DefendPTR's uploads of the anime in certain countries. The copyright itself is split between many owners, which would, in my opinion, and speculation, make releasing the anime in the West prove to be more difficult. One final little tidbit that is worth noting is a piece of information that I stumbled across while searching the anime, researching it. According to a user on a thread on animesuperhero.com, there had been plans for a dub of the anime once, and that Greenblatt had tried to secure the rights to the anime himself. How legitimate this is unknown, but with the info contained, it aligns with Greenblatt's other statements. Quote, "Sometime in the early 2000s, Tokyo Pop had actually expressed interest in picking up the Parappa the Rapper project and dubbing it. I actually spoke with someone who had worked for the company at the time and had translated the first episode. Apparently, their plan was to do a dub in line of Rave Master and Initial D. Plans, however, fell through. Sometime around 2005, I contacted Rodney Allen Greenblatt about the show, since I was interested in a couple bits of information regarding the show's production. What I did learn was regarding how involved he was in the show's production, such as designing original characters such as Paula, as well as how Sony was handling the adaptation into animation. From what I recall, the rights eventually reverted back to his company to the character and whatnot. However, this did not include the animated series, as that was owned by a different studio as opposed to Sony. Apparently he did attempt to try and get the anime, but I'm unsure if he was ever successful or not. Even if he did, nothing came of it in terms of a release. Regardless of the troll production of the anime, it was ultimately archived online by DefendPTR for people to forever watch and love. A tale of an anime that intrigues the few people that come across it, only to begin falling into obscurity and being lost, saved by passionate fans of it. It is truly a wonderful tale of how partially lost media can be found again, with the right passion and the right motivation. Thank you, DefendPTR, and the other channels and people who took their time to save this anime. Your work will forever be appreciated. I guess you could say that this anime is now something we love together, don't you think?
Together,